Now, I want to point out something important about what our client did over here, right? So before she asked us to write the code, she had already created some high quality tests, and she was using those tests to review the code that we produced. This is a very, very important idea in software development, and it goes by this name: test-driven development. Now, what exactly do we mean by high quality tests? Well, there are two senses in which our clients' tests are of high quality. Each one by themselves is a valid test, and her collection of tests is thorough. Let's understand these two terms, valid and thorough. So when I say a single test is valid, I mean that for each test input, the corresponding output is correct as per the task. So what that means is, if a test fails, then I know that the problem is not with the test, the problem is with the code. So a doc test, for example, typically looks like this. I call some function on some input. In a valid test, this output is the correct answer for this input. And then if my function f fails to produce this answer, I know the problem is with my code. So each individual test should be valid. Now, what about thoroughness? Thoroughness is a property not of an individual test, but for a whole collection of tests. You see, if our code is buggy, we want our collection of tests to catch that bug. So we would like it to be the case that at least one of our tests fails on that buggy code. Now, I say that it is likely to fail some test because we cannot be 100% thorough. There are an infinite number of ways in which we could have written buggy code. So thoroughness is something that we try to aspire to when we are writing test cases. We may not be able to catch every possible bug. In fact, this is a big problem if we only rely on testing. Just because our code passes all our test cases, it does not mean that it is perfect. It could be that our collection of test cases is insufficiently thorough. But of course, we hope to make our test cases sufficiently thorough so that most bugs at least are caught by at least one of our tests. It could be that many of our test cases fail for a given buggy code. That's fine. We would certainly know that our code is buggy since we began with tests that were valid, and hopefully our collection of tests is sufficiently thorough. So to help us develop this important skill, let me show you on CodeCheck a way in which we can practice writing tests that are both valid and thorough.